10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Whack Whack Attack. Today is January 28th. This episode should have gone out yesterday, but there was just too much and I wasn't able to get it out. So we're sending it out this morning. So hi, welcome to this Saturday episode of Rocket Fuel. So let's get started with the software updates. So Joe said earlier today, Nimbus released a new hotfix version 23.1.1, which is considered a very high priority for anyone using Nimbus and the pruning feature. It features an issue where the client may fail to start after a database has been pruned. Also significantly improves performance of machines with a high number of mini pools because new validator monitor will aggregate and summarize all of the mini pools performance instead of reporting logs for each one. We recommend all Nimbus users update to this version. Docker mode users can do so by manually entering this tag. And then on the 27th, we had this update saying when it rains, it pours. So I guess we just released version 1.7.5. This is an optional update for everyone except Nimbus users that has not manually updated Nimbus 23.1.1. If you're a Nimbus user that hasn't manually updated yet, this is a high priority for you because the Nimbus team has labeled 23.1.1 as a high priority update. There aren't any key changes that apply to most node operators other than that, though there are a few Oracle DAO optimizations for the Watchtower routines. As usual, read the patch notes from the release above for all the details. And as soon as this version went out, then Teku released a new version like literally a few minutes later. So I think we might be getting a version 1.7.6 soon. However, the Teku version is not a high priority update. So it might be that you can wait until the next version comes out, like whether that's 1.8.0 or 1.7.6. So thanks, Joe, for those updates. Okay, so next we're going to talk about a topic that is kind of we're not. Joe says I have another announcement real quick, and then he says I think once Atlas is done, I'm going to make a Smartnode package so you can finally do like sudo apt install Rocket Pool Smartnode and updates via sudo apt update. I look into how hard RPMs are for Fedora /CentOS /RHEL folks too. So I think this is going to make updating your Smartnode stack really easy and make it a lot easier than it is right now. So I think that's something really cool, but that will happen after Atlas. So I guess software updates for the Smartnode stack are going to get much easier in a few months time, which is really cool. Thanks, Joe. Okay, so the next topic is now something that has very controversial, has played out over the last couple of days. I kind of covered it a little bit in Thursday's episode, and I'm going to kind of cover it again today without going into too much detail. And the reason for that is this is a topic that's still playing out. It's very divisive. It's very fresh, and I don't think all the arguments and discussions have really played out yet. So I asked yesterday in trading whether I should do a deep dive into this topic or whether I should just kind of like mention it, and they said the latter is better because it's just too much of a mess as a topic right now, and it might like spread unnecessary FUD, even though like hopefully good things will come out of this discussion. So let's get started. So on Thursday's episode, I talked about how there's a discussion going on in trading about how there should be reform to the oDAO, and how a lot of community members were getting like quite passionate about that, and a lot of opinions were being shared that people were quite vocal about and quite strong about, and it all kind of rotated around these couple of topics. One, that the oDAO gets paid for nothing, and two, that the oDAO gets paid way too much compared to the nothing that they do. So this thread was created where literally thousands of comments have been posted. I'm not going to go through the whole thread because there's just so much, but I'm going to talk about some of the other comments that were around it, and hopefully give enough of information that you can go and do a deep dive yourself if you're interested in that. But otherwise, like, it'll keep you abreast of what's going on, kind of, but also not. So sorry. And if I'm missing points of view that are more subtle than what I'm indicating, please let me know, and I'll definitely include those perspectives as well. But let's talk about what the oDAO actually does. So Denham copied this paste from the team that was posted a while ago. It says current oDAO duties: balance submission used to calculate the daily RETH rate, RPL price submission used in collateral calculations and auction, rewards tree generation, voting on and executing contract upgrades, voting on changes to oDAO network parameters, scrubbing of mini pools with incorrect withdrawal credentials, penalizing theft of MEV, voting in and kicking out members of the oDAO. New in Atlas, scrubbing of solo script staker migration mini pools if they don't set withdrawal credentials correctly, and cancelling migration to LEB8 if validator is slashed or balance is less than 32 ETH. So these are some of the duties that the oDAO already does, and the oDAO will do after Atlas. Now, you might think, oh, that's quite a lot of stuff. However, the key thing to note is that the oDAO basically each member of the oDAO has a staking machine that should technically be an archive node, although it's not always an archive node because that's not currently required, but it should be an archive node. And on that, they run a version of the Smartnode stack that all node operators run. It's just their Smartnode stack has some extra stuff that happens, and every day, every like X amount of time, the Smartnode stack automatically gathers this information and submits it as a transaction on the blockchain, and then that is used to get information about the health of the Rocket Pool protocol for these specific pieces of information. So the active time required by oDAO members is I think like maybe an hour a week, maybe 2 hours a week at the absolute most of active time. That's being very, very generous. In all honesty, like it could be less than an hour a month for some oDAO members. So now that we've got that clear, let's go into some of the comments that were being made. So the whole discussion revolved around like of reforming the oDAO, either like ideally getting rid of it according to those people, and if not get rid of it, then definitely curtail its powers. If not curtail its powers, then definitely curtail its pay. So Ken said, I think worth having the discussion about what the ideal proration should be. Node operator, oDAO, pDAO first. There's some other factors as well as the oDAO column. How many oDAO members do we ideally want? Besides the oDAO function, node on, transactions, happenings, etc., do we expect other services from the oDAO member? For example, do we expect access or availability from Bankless because they're an oDAO member? Do we expect Beacon Chain to integrate Rocket Pool metrics because they're an oDAO? I think there is some understating that the oDAO payment is not just to run the node and be trusted, but also was an attribution to the oDAO member for the services they provide, Rocket Pool and Ethereum. So that's Ken's comment. And people are telling him to put it into the oDAO inflation adjustment thread. So yeah. Then we had a couple of comments from D2 that were quite interesting. He says, at Rocket Pool's launch, it gained a lot of legitimacy from the names on the oDAO. Well worth the initial investment there. Albeit the longer Rocket Pool exists and thrives, the less important over time to establish ongoing legitimacy. And I think it was Jasper or someone else who replied by saying, now, however, what happens is other protocols get legitimacy by attaching themselves to Rocket Pool, just because of how, amazingly everything's grown in the last year and a bit since we went live on mainnet. And kind of some of the examples I'm thinking of is just like how many protocols are name dropping Rocket Pool recently, like Euler Finance and Miso Finance and a bunch of others. But on top of that, also stuff like EigenLayer are closely like aligning themselves with Rocket Pool because there's a lot of legitimacy to be found here, which is really cool. So that was D2's comment about why the oDAO was important in the beginning, maybe. And then D2 has another comment, and he says, pDAO and Rocket Pool community work together to draft a proposal over the next month to reform the oDAO. Meanwhile, I'll allow the Rocket Pool dev team to focus on LEB8 launch. Once LEBs are up and running, submit the oDAO proposal. So I think this and then Jasper replies by saying this is the way. So I think this makes a lot of sense as the path forward. And Noshua, of course, has submitted a grant request for writing a report about the oDAO, and that would be really valuable, I think, to this measure as well. And as far as I know, there are two different threads that are being worked on right now, one by Noshua and one by Denham. That might have changed, but I'm not sure. But I think that's the situation, and that they're working on two different threads, and I think they're going to like focus on two different aspects of reforming the oDAO and seeing how that works out. But D2 here has this suggestion that, you know, let the team focus on Atlas because that's so vitally important, and also to move forward. I was talking to Marceau about this, and Marceau had, like, he was just talking to me, and like he said that one of the things that can happen that would really like help this whole situation right now. Well, okay, Marceau's position is we need to get Atlas done in the smoothest way possible because it's incredibly vitally important. That's the first thing, right? That's his starting position. And then after that, Marceau's perspective is that the team should make a gesture towards the community to say, look, this is serious and we're hearing what you're saying and we know that you're really passionate about this. And what we'll do is we'll put a vote to the oDAO to reduce their income by 50%. And this will happen until like X period in time, at which point you will do ABC. So I think these two things together, I think, might be a really good way forward, but I'm not really sure of how that will work. So I'm leaving it to other people who are following this discussion more closely at the moment to provide ideas and solutions. But I really like D2's comments here as well, which were really good. And then Superfish says, I'm trying not to get involved with this, but I think people are failing to consider that the oDAO payment needs to be high enough to resist bribery. Whether that goes to 15 people who are hard to bribe or 100 people who are slightly less hard to bribe, that's the security cost. The payment needs to be high enough that the oDAO remains loyal to the job. Anyway, I don't belong in these conversations. I'll be back. So Phiz is a member of the oDAO through ETHStaker. And one of the interesting things is that the community's talked about this, right? Like Rocket Pool is $800 billion project right now in terms of total value locked, and about to be $1 billion project in terms of total value locked with like a small pump. With that in mind, the cost of anti-bribery is not like, you know, the few $1 million that we pay to the oDAO every year. I think it works out to be like $3 or $4 million. I'm not exactly sure. Our current prices, something maybe $5 million. That is not enough to resist bribery, and that's what Jasper here says. He says we cannot pay enough to prevent bribe attacks, and your social rep is what is preventing bribes, Jasper says. And then I think Noshua had some, and then Noshua as well says the oDAO payment cannot be high enough to resist bribery. So the discussion about bribery is such that as long as there are currently eight oDAO members who plot together to like present malicious / exploitable information from their oDAOs or from their oDAO nodes, they can definitely like impact Rocket Pool like massively, the protocol massively. So they have a lot more to gain than like a few $1 million. Do you know what I mean? Like it'd be tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars that they could potentially gain from that. And that in itself, like we can't afford to pay that amount of money to prevent them from accepting bribes. So that's where reputation comes in, which is what's happened with the current oDAO members. So that's a really interesting discussion and point, but I think the community was kind of like ready for that in a sense and was able to present a counterpoint to Phiz here. So what happened then on Thursday night, Friday morning was Dave came into the thread and he says, let me share my thoughts, please. He says, that investment Pitchforks yesterday is paying dividends. That investment in Pitchforks yesterday paying dividends. Seriously though, for a project that started from just an idea 7 years ago, has bested all but the biggest protocols while maintaining its ethos, constantly engaged more community than any other, and has passionate and skilled team working constantly on it. The vitriol, hyperbole, and bandwagoning from a few certain members has been very off, and in my opinion, not the direction I'd like to see our Discord take. As some guy that coded and designed the Oracle DAO, I feel I'm pretty well equipped to answer some of the more well-versed questions that have arisen and some other ideas that have been proposed. But first, here's how I see the oDAO now. There is not enough of them. Security of the protocol depends on having wide and diverse membership with the ability to upgrade the protocol. They have a huge responsibility, and security in that regard is paramount. In the beginning, when withdrawals weren't ready and the merge was just an idea, the ability to evolve the protocol was hugely needed. Now that we have passed the merge and withdrawals are on the horizon, this is now expanding as the need to match our growth. Pay. An easy go-to is this one. But to put things in perspective, with the immense rise of Rocket Pool's RPL lately, each member income scales to the value of the protocol due to staked RPL. This does vary a bit, but provides a good metric. With the value of the protocol close to $1 billion and upgrading the protocol being in their control, I'd argue this is quite reasonable, even more so when you consider new members that are added for security dilutes existing members' income. Members aren't active enough. That's fair. Some aren't, but many are in ways that you don't realize. Not everyone has a Discord account they can shout to the rooftops from. Lighthouse, for instance, has made themselves extremely available to us for audits, even though they have years' worth of work already. Others are key stakeholders in the ecosystem at large, which benefit Rocket Pool in many indirect ways, since they want to participate in Rocket Pool through the oDAO. Can't we just allocate some funds to the team from the inflation instead? No. Security again relies on having diverse oDAO membership. They all relay Oracle data, plus have the ability to approve upgrades and even propose them themselves. That require a certain quorum. The oDAO is not needed as much as the team, more so actually. It is designed to be team agnostic. This would be hugely centralizing around the team. The current oDAO design is team agnostic. Any member can propose upgrades. This is by design. If you stake everything on us being around, what if we get shut down, decide to go traveling, etc.? Not assigning certain funds to any direct member goes against the protocol design and is extremely centralizing. We should send more to the GMC and have them pay the team. Firstly, I think the GMC is a great idea, but when you're thinking protocol-wide level, introducing them at this level is frankly disastrous. The team, as you know it, would not be working for the protocol, where the efforts are rewarded in the price of RPL, like now, but they would be working for the GMC, not the protocol. As the team is highly nuanced to the security of the protocol, it makes them vulnerable to blackmail, coercion by the GMC, and not even all of it, just the majority. There is now a new middleman made up of mostly anonymous members from the GMC that can choose to only pay the team if their needs, ideas are met, even against the team thinking it's not a good idea. The team has no recourse now, as their pay can be held hostage. I'd seriously look at taking a step back and moving on. If the team is beholden to the GMC, they now decide what the team does and focuses on. At the moment, the success of the protocol rewards the team directly from it. There have been a huge amount of FUD lately. Almost no one has even mentioned security of the protocol, which is highly alarming. Throwaway slogans like disperse the oDAO have been said by numerous members with absolutely no idea of the impact. FUD is easy. Talking like a positive, optimistic community is hard. Let's focus on the latter, even despite it being harder. It's what's helped us get to where we are, showing even the biggest protocols we're a match. So it was quite a detailed post by Dave right here, and it definitely got everyone commenting, and there's a whole lot of comments in reply to this that I'm not going to cover all of them because it went on for quite a while, this discussion, but Dondo said, really appreciate this post. Getting the team's perspective is really important. The more you guys can plug in, the better for the whole community and protocol. Thanks for taking time. Despite everything going on, I hope to see more of this. And Noshua says, regarding not being enough of them, how do you feel about entity diversity, entity location, client diversity, server location diversity, and software diversity? Couldn't we do a lot more for decentralization of the oDAO by paying attention to these aspects instead of adding more and more numbers? And then Dave says, yes, I do. Other clients that the oDAO or all node operators could run would be welcomed. We can't enforce it, but we can make it easier for them to do, which we've been trying to do since day one using the Smartnode package. And then Valdov came in with a bunch of responses and comments. Dave said, with the ability to upgrade the protocol, they have a huge responsibility, and security in that regard is paramount. And Valdov says, I agree with this. However, from where I stand, outside the team and oDAO channels, they appear to be a rubber stamp. A couple of times I've lightly engaged. It seemed the members haven't read the audit reports. Do they read and digest them? Do they know the features that are going in? Do they confirm that the commit that was audited is what the proposal they're voting? If not, then there's just security theater and it's team controlled. If so, then the community needs to hear about it. And then, he has questions about pay and members being active and can we allocate funds for the team inflation instead? And Valdov kind of makes points about all of these, but the discussion kind of goes on quite a lot. So I'm not going to go into all the depths of it because it's going to take a lot of time. But I want to finish with this comment from Ramana, who said, I would like to explicitly state my gratitude and appreciation for all the work the team and others who have come before me have put into Rocket Pool. I'm sorry my hyperbole and shit stirring rubbed you the wrong way. I feel if a productive discussion comes out of it in the end, it was worth it. But I also acknowledge there's a lot of history and behind the scenes work that I'm unaware of. So my perspective isn't going to immediately align with yours, and it's probably less informed. So Romana was one of the people that Dave was kind of pointing out, saying that, you've been frauding and stuff. But I guess this was Romana's apology, which was, I don't know how that was received or wasn't. Okay. So Joe says the APR is 10% again because of all the RPL that's staked that is not effective. So what's happened is as the ratio of the RPL is going up, more and more people are being pushed out of 150%, which means that, like Joe, and which means that the APR is now going up because there's less effective RPL staked on Rocket Pool. So Shifton said if only LEB 8s existed, because he's over 200% collateral. Joe says soon. And he says then he says we have two dates, right? We have an if everything goes right date and an if we need to fix stuff date. And then Jasper says, have you all finished settled on the pre or post Shanghai, or is this sort of dependent on the audit still? And Joe says, I'll say this much, neither of them are before ETH Denver. So ETH Denver will finish on March 5th or 6th, I think. So it looks like, that's the earliest we'll get it, is like the second week of March. And Joe says it doesn't matter about Shanghai, our stuff can handle it either way. Before is preferable from solo stake and migration perspective, just to help get the word out, but either way works. So it's not necessarily dependent on the code being there the hard fork going live. They can have all the contracts and everything in place beforehand and published onto the Ethereum mainnet, and then that can happen before or after Shanghai. However, I will say this, if there's any way we can speed this up, like I'm talking to the team, I'm talking to the community here, if there's any way that we can speed this up so it gets released before Shanghai, I think that would be absolutely monumental for Rocket Pool. Please, the team, ask the community for help if you feel like it's not going to get out before Shanghai, because it's in everyone's best interest to get it out before Shanghai, but because there's just going to be so much momentum, I really don't want us to get left behind on that. Even if it's just a matter of a few weeks, it's going to make a huge difference. So please get it out. Of course, safely. And then Joe says, with Atlas, he says, good news, at least rewards version 5 first draft spec is done. I'm going to need you guys to help me poke all the holes in this. It's version 4 plus Atlas. Kind of need it if we're going to open the testnet at some point, So this is the first allusion we've had from Joe towards the testnet. So the new reward spec version 5, it looks like it's going to go into Atlas. So the testnet, I think if we're going to get a March launch, then we need the testnet in the next few weeks, maybe by the middle of February at the latest, so the testnet can run for a month before we go live. I think that would be really great. So there's talk of testnet now. Okay, next we have this comment from Toucan Spam, who says, more glowing coverage of Rocket Pool on the Daily Gwei today. And Trevor N says, just watch this, it was great. I like this Sassal guy. So I watch the Daily Gwei every day, and I love I love what Anthony puts out there. So this next section is quite long, so I'm not going to play all of it, but I just want to start with it, and then you guys can go watch it yourself. It'll be linked in the description.
All right, so node. Rocket Pool achieved 2,000 nodes over the weekend, I think, or no, earlier this week, not the weekend. So a couple of days ago, Phiz put out this tweet here where he said that there's 2,000 nodes now staked with Rocket Pool, or now spun up with Rocket Pool, which is obviously very, very cool to see. It's been growing very nicely. You guys know I'm super bullish on Rocket Pool generally. It's something that took me a while to get bullish on because, as you guys know, I'm very cautiously optimistic about what I put my weight behind. But after spending a lot of time in the Rocket Pool community, after talking to a lot of core Rocket Pool members and community members that care about Ethereum and Rocket Pool, I can safely say that I care and am bullish on Rocket Pool almost as much as I am on Ethereum. Now, obviously, they are two different things.
So I'm going to stop it there, but I really like that line of him saying, I'm almost as bullish on Rocket Pool as I am on Ethereum, which I think is extremely high praise for anyone who's watched the Daily Wave for a while and know just how much of an ETH maxi, and I say that in the kindest, most like loving way, Anthony is. So that was really amazing. He also says that it's one of those like unicorn tokens that are one of the very few out there that actually can and have been outperforming ETH. And in the last few years, it's been like up only against ETH, which is absolutely amazing. So go watch the Daily Gwei. If you don't watch the Daily Gwei, my show is kind of modeled in a sense and inspired by Anthony's show. So there's a lot of that there as well. But if you don't watch the Daily Gwei, you should really watch the Daily Gwei. And that's not just because of the amount of love that Anthony shows Rocket Pool. Okay, so next something interesting happened. So I don't know if you remember a couple of days ago when I shared the meme about Rocket Pool people coming and helping people if anyone mentions like Lido or something. Well, anyway, Phiz said this. He said, looking for someone who's on now, who can consult with valuable DAO about staking through the Rocket Pool rather than a competitor. If you're available, emoji and I'll grab someone. So we had Patches who reacted with a thumbs up, and then a bunch of other people said like D2 was around and others were around as well. And what happened was there was this call going on from the Nouns DAO, and Nouns is like a very big NFT project that literally has thousands of ETH in their treasury. And this person from Nouns says, "Hey, Rocket Pool, is there a simple way for a DAO to stake ETH with you?" So they had a proposal for staking 5,000 ETH with Lido, and I guess Phiz would rather they had staked that with Rocket Pool, right? So of course Phiz is not going to mention competitors directly, but what ended up happening was there was this member of the down team, Prof Werder. He says, this may have been me in Superphiz's DMs about 30 minutes ago. Gotta love that she even has red hair. So the person in the picture has red hair, and it's showing the meme that Maso made about the redheaded woman stranded on the beach saying help and nobody helping her, and then she says Lido's okay as a staking service, and then all the Rocket Poolers turn up. So I think what ended up happening is a whole bunch of people from Rocket Pool turned up and started talking to this Professor Werder person, and they started talking to her in DMs, and I think even on the call. And I don't know if they were convinced or not. I'm not sure what the outcome was, but what ended up happening was this pop-up was created, and it says Professor Werder fulfills the Rocket Pool prophecy, and you can see that like the redhead woman has been replaced with Professor Werder's NFT that she has as her Twitter icon. And let's read the description. It says, on January 23rd, 2024, Twitter user Guati Guert tweeted, if you're ever stranded in the desert island, just yell Lido, and a Rocket Pool community member will locate you and tell you that with 16 ETH, you can earn more than Lido's corporate validator set or whatever. And then Maso responded by showing an edited comic by Kim DeChauto, showing a redheaded woman trapped on the beach, spelling out the word Lido with rocks to summon help, and Rocket Poolers arrive quickly. This event peaked 2 days later when Professor Werder, who happens to have a profile picture showing a redheaded woman, messaged Phiz to ask for help to encourage the Nouns DAO to stake Ether in Rocket Pool rather than Lido. In response, Superphizz created a group, including Rocket Pool researchers, to respond to the problem, thus fulfilling the prophecy, as many rocket poolers came to her aid. POAP image credited to the original comic artist, Kim Deschateau. I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing that horribly, I know. And Schifrin for graphic design. POAP developed and distributed by Phiz. This POAP is being shared with all who were involved in the prophecy, and then there's a link to the tweets involved. So yeah, it was a nice little story about rocket poolers getting involved, and it's just those like life imitating art really, really quickly. So I liked sharing that. Okay, next we have this thing that I'm really, really happy about, and it's something that I've talked about before, and it's something that I want to spend a minute talking about now. So Object shared this screenshot of the oDAO events thread, and it says proposal created Rocket Pool 1, created proposal number 9, and it says invite Rocket Scientist 1, rocketscientist.com to the oDAO. And then that was submitted. So this now has started the process, the official process for getting the rocket scientists onto the oDAO. I foresee this vote passing very, very easily, and I'm very happy that the rocket scientists will be on the oDAO. The thing that I want to say is I think the rocket scientists need another oDAO node, and I know the team has responded to my comments before, and they said that they want to let the rocket scientists run it for a few months before they see how everything's going, and then potentially giving them another node. However, I think having the rocket scientists who are like quote unquote the best of the rocket pool community, giving them another node, I think will be absolutely fantastic in terms of balancing out some of the voices in the community with those on the oDAO, and it's something that I strongly support right now, and I think would be a huge salve for some of the issues that are happening in the community and some of the arguments that are being made. If the rocket scientists had 2 nodes, I think it would they'd represent the community a little bit better, and I think it would be the best case interest for everyone, like to have more of a community voice on the oDAO. In fact, I think they even should be community members specifically who are invited to the oDAO in time to come. Like right now, the oDAO has about 15 people. I want that up to like 50 people. And, you know, the rewards, maybe if they go down a little bit, then even then, like, you know, the rewards get diluted, that's fine. But having 50 people who, I think, I'm not sure who was saying, maybe it was Valdo or someone else, having 50 people, or maybe even Phiz, having 50, in response to Phiz, maybe having 50 people who are slightly less bribable than like very not bribable might be better than having 15 who are like very not bribable. I know I totally butchered that, I'm sorry, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, I think we really should open it up and invite more and more people onto the oDAO, and I think that's really, really good to give them more of a voice. So yeah, that's good. Let's have a look at what's next. So next we have this. I want to give a shout out to Romana here. So Mr. Kana, oDAO makes sense. oDAO to make sense. Username says shout out to Romana for Rocket Arb for covering my Proteus. So this was happening a few weeks ago. The Rocket Arb was a contract created by Romana at the time. Since then, I think Popash has worked on it a little bit to kind of containerize it, and Moist something Owls, I'm so sorry, I forgot your username, has worked on optimizing the gas for it to reduce it by half, pretty much, the gas required. So Rocket Arb right now is giving out 1% on your 16 ETH that you deposit because you use the ARB. A few weeks ago, maybe a month and a half ago, it was giving out up to like 0.4 ETH, which is a big chunk of cash. And I guess at that point, that was enough to cover a full Proteus. So that's what Mr. Kana here is saying. Shout out to Romana for Rocket Arb for covering my Proteus. And I guess if you're going to run 3 or 4 nodes, then that will cover, 3 or 4 valid mini pools, then that will still cover the cost. So it's really cool. And then Joe responded by saying, what a fun story that is. Rocket Arb doing work, man. So, and then Joe says, you know, there's the rocks for phase 2 haven't been manufactured yet, and still waiting for the aluminum cases for phase 1. So like this stuff is delayed, so even though some boxes are going out, they're still not all going out yet. I'm still waiting for more, but I know that there's demand there for more, which is really cool. Okay, so next I want to talk about mine and Romana getting married. Anyway, So what's happened, right? I've mentioned this in trading a few times. People might be confused about what it means to get married. So Marco Bacco and Patricio had a whale marriage. Now, what's a whale marriage? It means Marco didn't want to buy RPL, and Patricio didn't want to swap his RPL for ETH. So the two of them came together, they made a contract, and they used that contract as the withdrawal address for a node that Marco runs. Now, on that node, Marco put ETH, Patricio put RPL in a trustless way, and Marco would stake that RPL on Patricio's behalf, and anytime there was rewards, the rewards automatically get divided from the contract. The ETH would go to Marco, and the RPL would go to Patricio. Now, that's happened another time with Marco and as yet anonymous whale to provide ETH and RPL again. So, inspired by this contract, I put a message in trading saying, look, I have a bunch of RPL that is ineffective. I would love to trade it. Would anyone like to enter a shrimp / crab / like dolphin marriage with me? Inspired by the whale marriage, but of course much less in terms of amounts. So Ramana replied saying, like, if you're serious about doing this, like, I can work on the contract and get it fixed. So that's what we did. So he said, can someone explain crab marriage for my wife plainly? And Sneaky says, it's when the ETH Maxi and RPL Maxi love each other, so they deposit their vows and make a little baby mini pool, which I really liked. And then Schifrin posted this thing which was quite funny. He says, crab marriages refer to a phenomenon in which two people in a relationship are highly codependent and unable to function without one another. This term is often used to describe a relationship that is emotionally unhealthy, as one partner may feel trapped or suffocated by the other. The term is derived from the behavior of crabs in a bucket, where one crab will pull the other back if it tries to escape. There's a whole lot of books written about crab marriages. I think you guys picked the wrong label. So let's go back to calling it a shrimp marriage. But yeah, so we've been working on the contract for a few days. Yesterday we were able to get everything going. So I said the shrimp marriage ceremony has started, and then I said, oh man, okay, crab marriage, and then wasn't sure what to call it. So, but the ceremony had started meant that the contract at that point had gone live onto it'd been published online, and I started tweaking on it from my side, tweaking the contract from my side, and then Romano was tweaking the contract from his side. And you can follow the node, right? It's all there on RocketScan. So then Romana tags me in events, and when you go and have a look at events, it shows that the mini pool were deposited at 16 ETH. So that was right there. So it was looking really good, and he was using the Rocket Owl Citrus version of the contract to make it more gas efficient. And then what ended up happening is we had the withdrawal address was the contract, and we joined the smoothing pool, and the voting came to me, and the ETH was going to Romana, and the RPL was coming to me. And yeah, Sneaky said, never realized how loaded Wack and Romana were. Geez. And then here's the information. So you can see it's node number 1999, which is on the index is 1999. In reality, it was node 2000 because the index starts from 0. And everything was okay. So we got 5 mini pools set up, and we've got that's Romana's ETH and my RPL that's there. So it's really exciting that it's all set up. So thank you, Romana. Thank you, a huge thank you for Noshua and Patches for helping audit the contract and make sure everything was okay. They had some good suggestions to tweak some things, and people helped me like step by step to make sure that I was interacting with the contract properly and I was keeping everything safe in doing so. Hopefully Romana doesn't rug me. but yeah, like I hopefully that's not the case, and I'm sure it's all going to be good. It's just the first time I've ever interacted with the contract directly, so it was kind of exciting. Okay, I'm going to finish with this couple of things that I'm really happy about. So Reloaded was a bit confused. He says, how do I invest in Rocket Pool? There seem to be lots of rules and stuff about water safety, but nothing about Ethereum and staking. And then he spelled Ethereum wrong and staking wrong as well, just as a joke. So here there's it says Rocket Pool and there's information, and it doesn't, the information is just about some kind of swimming thing, and it said an emergency notice, you are at Rocket Pool, do not enter the water, children should be supervised at all times. And then there's it's Rocket Pool, and there's a Rocket Pool's pub, like a pub, yeah, like a bar, I guess, like for people who don't know what a pub is in England. And it looks like it's somewhere in England. So people just like, I think we've seen some of these pictures before, right? Like on from Google, but it turns out Reloaded was actually there in person, which was really awesome. So he had a printout of the Rocket Pool logo in front of the Rocket Pool safety notice, and yeah, it says Reloaded 27 January 2023. So that's so cool that someone from our community actually went to the Rocket Pool, which was nice. I really like that. And then finally, Dybsy says, I just bought a ring. So I'm really happy that he is going to get engaged to his hopefully soon to be fiance. And I just want to say congrats to Dybsy for that, because that's really exciting. So on that note, this episode has gone really long. It could have gone on for like 2 hours with all the oDAO stuff, but yeah, if you do want to read about all of that stuff, then follow the links in the description below, and you can follow the discussions. But I know that I've missed out a lot of stuff, and I've done all sides of the arguments disservice, and I'm really sorry about that. But if anyone wants to write me a summary of what's going on, I can read it out on Monday's episode. But otherwise, I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I will see you all soon. Bye.